Thank you for joining us online for our church family updates. And we want to invite you to be able to ask questions this evening. And if you have any questions, I'm going to ask Pastor Chad to just give you some instructions on how you can ask questions, and we'll try our best to answer those questions.
Well, good evening, everyone. We're really glad to have you tonight. One of the things that we've done since COVID-19 hit is, since we've been out of our main building, we've actually upgraded our phone system, which gives us a new ability. You're able to actually...
I'm getting nothing from Chad.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. I just had to turn my microphone on. One of the things we've done since all of this has started a few months ago is we actually have upgraded our phone system, which gives us the ability for our staff to be reached, not on premise, but it also gave us the ability to receive text messages to our main office phone. So our phone number at the church office is 506-260-37. Nope, I'm giving out my personal cell phone. I'm going to stop there. It's 506-458-8206. That's 506-458-8206. If you would please just text any of your questions to that number. That's our church office number. We'll receive those. I'll also be on Facebook, but we'd prefer that you send the messages straight along into the text message app, and we'll be glad to answer them at the end of tonight.
Have you had a long day or something, Chad?
The microphone threw me off. I just...
These past 3 months have been historical in our world, to say the least. COVID-19 has completely, literally changed our reality these few weeks that we've been in. Over 7.3 million cases in the world, 400,000 deaths. We are in Canada just hitting 8,000, and all of that in 3 months. Our border with the U.S. is closed. Our borders to Quebec and Nova Scotia are almost completely closed. Restaurants, businesses have been closed, some of them for months. One of the things that affected me the most was no haircuts, and thankfully I finally got one. Social distancing guidelines, quarantine regulations, no visits to hospitals, and that's been really difficult for family members. No visits to even some family members for a while. Now we have the bubble and we can do some of that. Seniors have really gone through a tough time, and friends distancing for so long. And funerals have been really complicated and difficult. I remember the exact spot I was at when I received the news that places of worship, our church, had to be closed to public. I was on a walk with my dog, and it was actually a prayer walk. I was praying and just praying and asking God to bless our church, and all of a sudden the cell phone rang, and when I looked at it and I answered it, it was the information that we could no longer have church as a group that particular Sunday. That was March the 12th. March the 12th, I know I can take you to the exact spot where I just, all of a sudden, as I processed that bit of information, I felt the Holy Spirit just come down on me in such a powerful way. I just felt overwhelmed with the presence of God. And I felt the Lord say clearly to me, "Do not worry, I am with you." I felt the Lord affirm me that our church would come through this fine and that God would use this situation for His glory. And I felt God say, this is a time for the church to rise up and be the church. And another thing I felt really clearly at the time was we wanted to be very clear with our church that as a church we were going to cooperate with the health authorities and follow the recommendations they gave us, and we would encourage others to do so as well. This was not a time to start criticizing or complaining. They had information that I wasn't privy to or that we weren't privy to, and we needed to pray for them because I felt that they were trying just to do their best with the information that they had. Over the past few weeks, I've had several calls with representatives from the government, some of them representing huge portions of the government. They've had calls with pastors across the province, and I can tell you right now, they have been absolutely phenomenal and very respectful, very kind, trying to do their best to accommodate us as churches. We were going to also look out for each other and stay connected. And we started exploring all the reasonable opportunities to keep caring, discipling, teaching, and inspiring people to follow Jesus. And then we were very blessed that God had already paved the way for us to stay connected as a church. And we were very blessed with a generous donation just in the nick of time for us to set up church online, which we have been doing for the last few weeks and basically almost 3 months now. This for us as a church staff, as a church, was a huge learning curve. And our church staff has been just absolutely amazing. And they have been working really hard to catch up with all the changes. And also the volunteers have been absolutely amazing, just stepping up to the plate. I want you to know that church online on a Sunday takes about 14 to 15 people. And you're already making the math and you're saying, wait a minute, I thought we had a limit of 10. But the reality is that we, under the guidelines of the Department of Health, were able, by using different entrances, to have a team upstairs, which was a video team, and the team downstairs actually doing the service. We also have been training volunteers to run the equipment. And I just want to take this opportunity to say a real special thanks to Mike Jones Production. They have been absolutely amazing to work with. They have gone beyond the call of duty to set us up and work with us. Our purpose for online church from day one wasn't to be the best online church production. Our goal was to engage people with us to worship together and share from God's Word. Our purpose was to try to create an environment of engagement. So that's why we insisted on having words on the screen, letting you see some of our family members, our church family members, different people, young people, older people, leading worship, praying, welcoming people. And we wanted to try to keep that family dynamics of people seeing people that they actually would recognize. To do it, also, we wanted to do it with quality, and so as not to be distracting. There's nothing worse than trying to watch something on YouTube or on Facebook, a video, and it's just so difficult to watch because it's so poorly done. And so we wanted to do it with the best quality we possibly could, trying to put that whole dynamics of being connected. We didn't want to be a show. We weren't trying to be some impressive thing. We just wanted to make it easy to watch and engage with. Our church office was closed, but we were able to set everything up very fast to be able to work from home and answer phones just like when we were in the office. With the help of volunteers, we have been calling and checking up on our congregation, especially those that we thought might be in a more vulnerable situation. And then I want Chad just to tell you a little bit what we were doing with the small groups and some of the other areas of the church.
Well, I want to take a moment just to say thank you to our circle group leaders. It's moments like this that we realize the importance of the smaller connections that we've been working with over the past decade to try and create, with the importance of circle groups and those foundational things. And they really stepped up. We weren't allowed to meet in homes, And so immediately we started talking about, all right, how can we make connections using technology? And we've had a number of Zoom calls. My group, for example, met on Zoom every week. We've had groups like the Women's Prayer Group, mostly senior ladies in our church that took advantage of trying to use Zoom, ended up using Facebook to get together and still have their regular weekly prayer meetings together. In recent weeks, we've had the opportunities, as the governments have opened things up more, to have outdoor social gatherings. There have been some groups that have met in the back parking lot to gather with their people, all 6 feet apart or greater, in lawn chairs in the back parking lot or people's backyards. I want to say a big special thank you. We are our 12-step recovery group, which is so essential in a season like this when people are under additional stress if they're dealing with addictions and other life-controlling issues. The leadership of that group has really stepped up. They have had online meetings. They broke their group into even smaller components with individual leaders so they could meet through the week at different points, and increasing their mentoring to make sure people were cared for. Our alpha team, we actually had an alpha that was just a few weeks ready from being done when this whole thing started. So some of our alpha groups have met with their leaders using Zoom and finding new technology and ways to do alpha online together. In fact, just a few weeks ago, we launched an alpha online at the beginning of May, which wraps up in another week's time. We're doing it kind of 2 sessions a week, and we've had a few new people that had never taken alpha before that don't even live in our province but have connections to our church that are taking alpha and learning about the love of Jesus and the power of the Holy Spirit online. So we've been trying a lot of different things technologically, and as things have opened up, there have been meetings in-person settings, and we're grateful for all the effort people have put in to do that.
And Heidi, will you tell us what's happening or what has been happening with the NextGen, the kids and the youth, that area of the church?
Well, I just have to say a huge thank you to our NextGen team. I've been so beyond proud as they've just reached out in so many different platforms, taking every opportunity that they have to try to connect with kids and connect with each other and connect with students. And certainly it's a challenge, but immediately within the first couple of weeks, cards, like snail mail cards, went out into the mailboxes of so many of our kids. And I know that really ministered to a lot of families and a lot of kids so that they knew that their small group leaders were thinking about them and praying for them. Our high school circle groups were still meeting through Zoom calls on Sunday nights. Our middle school leaders were messaging through Instagram or Facebook or email or whatever opportunity that they had at their hands that they could just kind of reach out. Immediately we ran up against Easter. And Easter in kids ministry is a really big deal. And so we just thought, how can we not gather and celebrate together on Easter? We've got to do something for the kids. And so we worked towards a Fam Jam, which is a family experience online. And it was a success. And I'm excited to say that it kind of propelled us into moving to a monthly Fam Jam family experience online. And then from there, we've kind of moved again into a kids online experience that will be coming weekly. So we're excited about that. Our youth had been meeting on Thursday nights for Youth Alpha when all of this hit. And when I just think back actually to our last meal that we were creating together, and we had no idea that that's what was going on. But so we moved that platform onto Zoom, and we did Youth Alpha through Zoom and finished that up. We even brought our boxes of cereal one night so we could still eat together in our own zones. Dispatch has gone live on Instagram and tried many different ways to engage with our youth and even the other youth in other churches that have been coming to our dispatch. I've been just so beyond thankful and grateful for this team. And as they too are managing their own shifting work lives and family lives and trying to manage all of that and the emotional roller coaster of the whole thing, they're still just giving their hearts and ministering to our kids and our students. And so thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah, no, one of the other things that was a concern from the very beginning was the church finances. And a lot of people in the church were just concerned. If you're not meeting at the church, you're not taking up offerings, the offerings are going to go down, and how are you going to pay for the bills, and all those kind of concerns. And I like Richard Shub, who is our treasurer and our accountant. I want to say, by the way, that Richard has been an absolute amazing help in these days, and just really stepped it up, even encouraging us and praying for us. But Richard's going to let you know a little bit about how the finances are at the church.
Well, the first thing that we found was that things changed. We couldn't depend on any of the original budgets items because everything changed with the COVID-19. Well, the first thing we did was we sat down and we prepared a 3-month budget, April, May, and June. And so we prepared that. We checked over all the expenses and see which ones we could reduce or eliminate, and also see which ones might be new, because new expenses came up, such as the video equipment, the online meeting software, the hand sanitizers, and the signature signage. The other things, there were other expenses that were reduced or eliminated, such as garbage removal, janitorial services was reduced, and other types of operating expenses that we didn't need. There were other expenses that we wanted to continue, expenditures, such as payroll. We wanted to make sure that the staff was secure in the payroll and in the amount that they're receiving. And we also wanted to make sure that the people in the missions, that mission money went out to them on a regular basis. So all that happened. We also looked at any government things that were available as far as grants went. So we made any assistance there, we did that. There was a couple of observations and conclusions that I made. One is that God is not worried about COVID-19. God has it covered. And that's something I came to realize as time progressed. People have stepped up to the challenge of in making donations, and they've been very good in keeping it up. There has been a consistency in giving, which is really good. Every week the giving is there, and that has meant a lot. Has enabled us to keep our finances in a good state. So that's my report.
You know, the church has just been absolutely phenomenal, absolutely amazing. And, you know, as a pastor, I'm just so super proud of how people have stepped up. You know, even some of the older kind of senior people, and I have to be careful because I'm getting in that category myself, but that didn't understand how to give online, have tried to figure it out and have done it. Others have just found ways to bring their finances in, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal to see how we can continue to care for people, continue to care for the city, do the things that we felt we needed to do, and actually just such a surprise that actually the giving, the finances have not gone way down, that they've stayed steady. So praise the Lord for that. But now we just want to look at a little bit with you on what is happening from now to September. And we wanted to kind of look at that to be able to have some sort of, I know the new word floating around is some sort of normal, so that we could kind of understand what our plan was. And as you are aware, in New Brunswick, we're moving through stages. And until we get to the famous new normal, which I don't know if anybody knows what that really is, and we just moved into stage yellow. This opens a few possibilities for us with, of course, restrictions and guidelines. Our church has put together what we call, or what's called the operational plan, how we have people come, how we can have people come into the office, how we can have people come into the building, how we can have people come into the sanctuary on Sundays. And we've opened up the office again twice a week, Wednesday and Friday from 9 to 1. Now we can have 50 people in the building at one time. And I want to make this clear. That's 50 guests. That's not counting the staff and that's not counting the people running the service. That's not counting the people managing the doors. It's 50 guests, and we have that very clear from the government perspective. But to do all of this, we have to follow a strict set of guidelines: socially distancing, hand sanitizing, washroom capacity limits, cleaning the building between every main event. There are other options available that we are aware of, like drive-ins and other kinds of outside events. Then we had to consider the issue of the kids. What about youth camps? What about day camps? What about overnight camps? And we worked and we looked at all those options before us. And after looking at all the restrictions, the guidelines, how we had to clean the washrooms, the facilities, clean the chairs between each event, the risk assessment, the fact that summer is a time when many of our volunteers are away on vacation, families are away, staff are taking vacation, the cost connected to some of the activities. Like for example, we were looking at when they said not too long ago that you could have 50 cars in the parking lot. And we looked at that, and we really looked at that carefully to see how we would do that and how we contain it to 50 cars. And we were looking at all those options, and the fact that we would have to have a stage and a PA system and an FM system. And then we got looking at the cost, and a minimum, one service was going to cost us about $2,000 total for equipment and everything. And then we started thinking about, well, what happens if we do all that prep work and then it's so hot nobody wants to sit in their cars? And why would somebody come and listen to the sermon in a hot car with their kids all screaming because they're hot, and instead of just sitting in their home and being able to watch it online? And then we thought, well, what if it rained? And would that be work? And how would we turn away cars and people? And then we got remembering and understanding the instability in the volatility of the situation we were in as a province. Just in a jiffy of one day, the plans to open to 50 got canceled for a week because of a situation that happened in northern New Brunswick. And that all those stages could shift so quickly, and it was just so difficult to plan. So when we looked at it all, here is what we have decided to do from now to September. Number one, keep doing church online as we are doing, with the same goals to be a place of connection, so that we can connect with people even when they're on vacation. They can go online and they can listen to the message, they can worship with us, and they can be connected. Number two, open it up for 50 people. So 50 people can attend in person following the guidelines. And Pastor Chad's going to explain to you in a moment just a little bit how this can be done and how you can be part of that. Number three, encouraging special one-off events for outreach and fellowship, especially outside of the building. All kinds of possibilities that were presented to us that we could do. Bonfires and all kinds of ideas that we're working on for this summer. One of the great things that we already started doing, and guess what? Yesterday, we had a baptism by the river, and 2 people got baptized. And we're going to show you a video of that this Sunday online. And it's just such a beautiful celebration. And guess what? We already have 5 to 7 people that are speaking and wanting to set a date to be able to get baptized. And we're saying, let's do it outside of the building. For kids and youth, we're not going to do camps. The rules and guidelines were very complicated. We were looking at it and saying, this is an unpleasant experience for the campers. And we didn't want them to walk away from camp thinking, what an awful experience that was. And again, an outbreak in the province could just completely change that, and then all the ticketing and all the finances would be out the window. and to ask volunteers to take unnecessary risks and then to take into consideration the many families that would not be comfortable sending their kids. And when we looked at all this, we just felt that it just wasn't a wise decision for us this summer. But Pastor Heidi is going to tell you what we are going to do this summer with the NextGen and the younger people.
So I've got to say that probably deciding we weren't going to do camps was one of the most difficult decisions for our team and then for Pastor Werner and the staff to kind of deal with. We've been going to Caton's Island Camp for 30 years, so it's fully ingrained in many of us. But, as we prayed and sought the Lord and listened to all the guidelines and had discussions, what we really kept coming back to, and many of it was from all those Zoom calls that we had in where we're all meeting in our homes, and our leadership team, a lot of our kids would kind of pop into these meetings, and we would all just kind of ooh and goo over them and make such a big deal because we're missing them so much. And so what we came to was that we really felt that God was just telling us that right now we needed to up our engagement on Sunday mornings for kids. That's already a time and a place where families are looking for something for their children. And so that's why we're moving to focus our energy on Fam Jam and online kids experience on Sunday mornings and making sure that that has a really broad appeal. And I guess appeal might not be the word I'm looking for, but a broad engagement in that there are many participants. So you noticed Fam Jam last week had a whole slew of our wonderful kids talking about the memory verse for this month. So constantly looking just to get our faces out there and remind each other that we are a church family together, that we're parenting together, that we love these kids and students together. So we're going to be focusing on that. We'll continue with our monthly mail out. Most of you, if you're an SSC family with little kids between preschool and middle school, you should have been receiving a monthly package of materials that coincide with your kids' Bible stories that are up on our playlists weekly. If you're not, please message me and I would love to just add you to our mail out. So that will be continuing as we want to increase that engagement with the content that we're giving. But also what we're really feeling that we're lacking is just that connection with relationships with the kids and the students. And so as their faces kept popping in on our Zoom calls, we just thought this is a neat opportunity now as restrictions are lifting a little bit for us to create some opportunities to have socially distant small group gatherings. So our high school small groups will be trying to meet. We did something last summer called Summer Thursdays for our high school and middle school students, and we'll be trying to do some of that. So please watch our social as we figure out what things we're going to be doing specifically. And whatever that is, we'll be looking to gather, whether it's in person, socially distanced, or back to our Zoom calls like we've been doing. But we also wanted to make that opportunity for our kids. And so we're going to be organizing little small group meetings, maybe on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon for all of the grade 3 kids with their small group leaders to gather together and just kind of really push that relationship thing that we've been really feeling like we're lacking.
Back to 50 on Sunday mornings in the actual building. The question might be, why don't we do several services, and that way we can accommodate 50, 50, 50. Here's what I want to explain a little bit. This last Sunday, we went back to summer times, and it was 10 o'clock. Online service. It was starting at 10, and we had people that had to be here at 7:45 to start getting things ready. 7:45, and they were here working. This last week, I counted about 21 people doing and participating in the church online. And that's not counting the people that are working off-site, but the people just to make the Sunday morning experience go well. About 21 people with training happening at the same time. And you imagine people coming here at 7:45, and by the time they're done and wrap everything up, it is 11:30. And then, if we were going to have another service, we would have to clear all those 50 people out, we would have to then sanitize the whole building, the washrooms, the doorknobs, everything according to the guidelines that we have, and then bring in another 50 and then do another 1 hour. We wouldn't be online, obviously, but another 1 hour service. And then all of a sudden you're saying that band, those people, they would be there for a long time. And here's what I want to say to you, church. I, as a pastor, am not going to burn people out. That is just not what we're going to do. And I know that you don't want that to happen. In the summertime, we have a lot of people trying to take some time off and some vacation. And so we are going to invite people to come and join us on Sunday mornings, 50 at a time, for that 1 hour service and participate with us. And Pastor Chad's just going to tell you how you can get in on that.
All right. Well, we're really excited. If you are at the place where you're comfortable and ready to come and join us back in church, we've been doing the hard work to be ready to welcome you back over the past few days and weeks to make sure we're prepared for that. And as Pastor Werner's mentioned before, we're going to be continuing with church online. So if you're unable to make it due to the number of restrictions we have, or maybe you're just at a place where you're not feeling comfortable going out to a more public gathering, we're going to continue to have church online available for you. So what we've done is actually, if you go to the website after this live webinar tonight, you can go to our announcements page and you'll see a spot where there's an announcement that says church in person. Feels like a novelty. Go to church in person. And if you click on that link, there'll be a list of all the different service times that we have going forward from, I believe it's the 21st of June all the way through September 6th. Now, this Sunday, we are actually going to have a few people in the auditorium. You'll see them in church online. But in order to make sure we're ready for you, we're actually inviting our ushering team and some of the NextGen team so that they can come and worship and then have a meeting to kind of go through the protocols that we're looking to keep in place going forward. But in 2 weeks' time, a week from this Sunday, you can sign up and come. And all you have to do is click on the name of the service that you'd like to attend, and then you'll be taken to a registration form. And that registration form allows you to sign up and say you and how many members of your family are going to be coming with you to the service. Now, you will have to create an account. It's with a program, an app we have called In Fellowship. If you have children that you've sent to Camp Lead or Caton's Island Camp or Youth Camp in the past few years, it's very likely you've used this interface before, and it's quite user-friendly. So once you set up an account, you just click your pictures, go through the thing, and register. Now, one thing we would ask of you is, as there's only 50 seats available on any given Sunday, we'd ask that you sign up for no more than one service per month. At this point. We would love to have you here every week, as you know, but we want to make sure there's enough space for other people to be able to come and attend as well. Now, if you have somebody you know that is unable to get online, perhaps there's a senior or somebody you know that does not have online access and can't set that up, if you tell them to call our church office at 506-458-8206, Betty Ann and Sherry have been trained in how to go through and put them and get them registered in that system as well. So we're looking forward to having you if you're ready to come and join us. And as I say, once you get here, there's a few things that we've done to the building and also some procedures we want to have in place for you. And what we're going to do is we've actually shot a little video to let you know what it is you need to know when you come back to church in person.
How we do church has changed a lot in recent weeks. But when you're healthy and ready, we're excited to welcome you back for an in-person church experience. Before you come back, though, we want to make sure you are comfortable with some of the changes we've made in the building, so we're going to show them to you today. In the foyer, we've set up bottles of hand sanitizer. We're asking everyone who comes into our building to take a moment and clean their hands.
When you get into the auditorium, we ask that you follow the directional arrows on the floor to and from your seat. Remember to sit with your household bubbles and always practice social distancing of 2 meters. To help you out, we've marked which seats you can use.
Because the hallway leading to our men's and women's restrooms are so narrow, we've basically turned it into a one-way street. So please, use the clearly marked exits at the back of the auditorium if you need to go to the washroom and follow the directional arrows. When you get there, we only want 2 people in the men's or the women's restroom at one time. So if you need to, just wait your turn until you can go in. And when you go in there, please maintain social distancing. And don't forget, wash your hands.
When it's time to go, public health says that we need to have different doors for coming in and going out. So feel free to use our rear exit or the doors in our main foyer that are marked exit only. We really hope to see you soon. Be watching our website for all the latest info.
And in case of an emergency, there'll be a compartment above your heads that will come down. I had to say that, but they did a phenomenal job on that video. But it just made me feel like I was in a plane again, ready to take off. But I want to say, Chad, just to add to your point, that I was talking to somebody in the government today, and they said that they're seriously considering to expand that 50 in the near future to a larger number, and even go to a percentage of people that can fit in our auditorium. So when that happens, you need to go to the web page, you need to be updated, go to social media. We'll be informing you of big changes, and that's the best place you can go, is go to our web page and find the information. And if there's a big change, we will make that change available to you and explain it. But I want to be exceptionally clear. We are going to abide as best we can with the guidelines given to us by the province. I am concerned with those people that have an anarchist attitude and don't follow social distancing. I'm concerned. If you're one of those people and you think, oh, this is just a bunch of baloney, and you're going to walk into our building here and you're going to start just violating all those guidelines, you're endangering people. That this is not the place for you. What you do in your own space is on your own. That is your business. But here in the church, we are following the guidelines, and we want to be safe. We do not want to be that careless church who became the hotbed of a coronavirus outbreak in Fredericton. I don't want to see that happening to us, so we are going to be very strict about the guidelines that we have been asking to follow. And of course, the situation is always fluid and changing, and we're trying to work with guidelines that they're giving us. But in closing, I just want to give you the opportunity. I don't know if Pastor Chad has any questions that have come up.
We don't have any questions at this point, but we'll just give you a minute. If you're online, this would be the time to send some. And there's a little delay in how long it takes them to get, so we might want to give ourselves a few extra seconds for that.
Well, I'll just say this. I want to close by reminding you what the Holy Spirit said to me when this all started. Do not worry. I am with you. You know, today I was on this call with some government officials, and one of the head of the Department of Health said to us, pastors across the province, he said, if I were you, I would start my sermon this Sunday by saying, do not be afraid. And I thought, what an amazing thing to come from the lips of a person who doesn't profess to go to church that often. He said, I do go to church, but not that often. I believe that this is a great opportunity for the church to get out of the building and be the church in the community. Jesus said, I will build my church. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will build my church. COVID-19 is not going to prevail against it. Like Richard said a while ago, God is bigger than COVID-19. Social distancing won't kill the church. Not being able to have church like we used to won't destroy the church. 300 years of not having a church building, and the Christian church survived that and grew. And the government restrictions won't stop the church. Persecution never even stopped the church. In fact, throughout history, these things have helped to purge the church and make the church stronger throughout history. I believe that when this storm calms, and it will calm down, we will be a stronger church, we will be a healthier church, we will be a better church for each other and a better church for the community. And so that's just trust God and believe. That's reach out to each other and allow you to be stronger and better. You don't need us every time to tell you what to do. You can pray and seek God, and we're here available for you. You can call us if you want. If you want prayer, we're here. We haven't gone anyplace. We're still here looking out for the church. Is there any questions?
Yeah, we did have one question come in, Pastor Werner. Someone asking, will face coverings or masks be required when attending a service?
Right. So I just got off a call about 2 hours ago from the province, and they said that is not a requirement as long as you follow social distancing. They would prefer people to do that because if you want to know the truth, a lot of people are saying, why only 50? Because their concern is that we Christians love to do something. It's called singing. And we love to sing. And when you sing, you breathe in and you breathe out. And so they're concerned that maybe that would spread if somebody showed up to church with the virus. And so that's another reason, Chad, that we are following online for people to register, because we have to, what's the word for that? I'm trying to find it here. It's, we have to keep a tally.
Yeah. So when we register, we kind of know how many people in our building, should anything ever come up. And this week, we're actually marking our pews to make sure that you kind of know the appropriate distance. So you have even more than that 2-meter distance that you require when you come to sit in on a church service for social distancing.
Yeah, and so here we got lots of space to sing, but they're concerned with smaller buildings where people are kind of a little tighter. But you do not have to, the question is, you do not have to wear a mask, but it's up to you. If you wear a mask, welcome. That's the only question?
That's the only question we have tonight.
Well, guys, you can still ask questions after. We'll try to connect with you and answer your questions. God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Heidi, Chad, and Richard, for being part of this, and for the team that's doing the recording for us. God bless you. Hey, the church is still moving forward. God bless.